What is going on, everybody? UCF Jaguar back with GenJag.com, and this Sunday concludes the regular season as Week 17 approaches, and the AFC South champion Jacksonville Jaguars will travel to Nashville to play another team in the AFC South, the Tennessee Titans. And the Jaguars have already clinched the AFC South, already clinched a home playoff game, while the Tennessee Titans will be fighting to hang on to their wildcard playoff spot. So in this video, we're basically going to preview this matchup. So let's get it. Now, one of the more interesting storylines going into this game is how the Jaguars, Doug Marrone, Tom Coughlin and company decided that they will not rest their starters, knowing the fact that they are locked into the 3 seed no matter whether they win or lose. And you see this time of year, there's a lot of teams that are benching their star players. You see the Steelers benching their star players, and they're still up in the air to get a number 1 seed. They're playing the Browns this weekend, so you wonder if they're just so confident that they will be able to beat the Browns with their backups, or they would look stupid if they lost to the Browns and the Patriots somehow lost this weekend. And then you also have the Chiefs resting their starters as they are locked in this number 4 spot. And then even the Rams, the Los Angeles Rams are benching their starters, and they're still up in the air to get either a 3 or 4 spot. Now, my idea with that is how they would honestly rather get the number 4 seed, because I think they would much rather play the Philadelphia Eagles with their struggling offense and without their starting quarterback Carson Wentz. And I just feel like they would rather play against the Eagles than win and play against the Vikings. So you see the Jaguars, they're going to be playing their starters. And, there's a lot of controversy behind this. Now, you wonder if last week, if they would have taken care of business and actually showed up against the 49ers, if they would bench their starters, or is Doug Marrone saying, hey, you guys had your off week last week where you didn't do shit against the 49ers and basically let a 4-10 team beat you guys and just outplay you guys on every aspect of the ball. But Doug Marrone and Tom Coughlin, you'd almost kind of expect this out of them, just because they are probably the most hard-nosed, old-school kind of football coaches in the NFL. I mean, they are kind of all in on winning. They're all in on bringing toughness to this football team. So, you wonder if they just don't want to go into the playoffs with a 2-game losing streak and, not being able to really get in the move of things before the playoffs start. Maybe they want to get some momentum, or, maybe they just don't want to hand the Tennessee Titans a playoff berth, because if we lose to the Titans, then that would mean that we went 0-2 against the Titans, and most likely playing them in Everbank Field next week. So, you have a chance to basically get swept by the Titans 3 times, which is exactly what happened in 1999 when we basically went 14-2 in the regular season, and those only 2 losses were to the Titans. And then you later on went on to lose to the Titans in the playoffs. So you beat every opponent except you went 0-3 against the Titans. Now the thing is, that happened in 1999. So a lot of these players were like 4, 5, 6 years old when that happened. The only person that really remembers that in the building is Tom Coughlin. He was the only one around for that. So, I don't think that that's much of the players' concern. Now, me personally, I don't know how I would have came into this game. I don't know if I would have wanted to rest my starters and let Chad Henne and backups play the whole game, or if I would play them the whole game. I don't know if I might even do it the second or third game in a preseason, where you basically put your starters in for 2-3 quarters, then pull them and let the backups play. But usually how I am with these games is much like when the Jaguars are really terrible. In the past we've had 2-12 records, and it's almost do we want to lose this and get a better draft spot? That's kind of what I'm thinking about during the game. And then once the game starts, all I want to do is win. And that's how I think this game might be. If we were to pull our starters in the second or third quarter, I might be put the guys back in because I actually want to win this. And it's against the Titans, so you extra want to win. So, I don't know how I'd really approach this game, but being that our starters are playing, I would use this game to try out a bunch of stuff. You know what I mean? Like for example, our wide receiving core is bare thin right now. Now, granted, we do have Allen Hurns coming back this week, which we really need, just because he hasn't played for like 5-6 weeks, like since the Chargers game, whatever week that was, and that was a long time ago. So if we want him to be effective in the playoffs, we're going to need him to like get into the swing of things. So I like that he's playing, but on the wide receiver page, we are pretty bare thin at wide receiver right now. So what I might do is I might throw TJ Yeldon out there and let him play some wide receiver, just because it seems like every week we're calling up a new guy from the practice squad to be able to try to bring him into the lineup and stuff like that. Now, it worked out this year where we found a diamond in the rough with Jadon Mickens, how we were able to get some punt return ability out of him. And he went in there to prove that he can play a decent bit of wide receiver. So that's definitely good. But, I'd like to try TJ Yeldon out at wide receiver, just because with the playoffs come, I would feel a lot more comfortable with TJ Yeldon out there catching passes than I would like a Crockett dude that we called up from the practice squad. You know what I mean? Like somebody that at least has a lot of playing experience, instead of just throwing out a guy out there that doesn't have really any NFL experience. What I also might do is I'd like to try to give Corey Grant some carries at running back, just because, to be honest with you, once the playoffs come, I do not trust Chris Ivory to run the ball. I mean, this guy basically, if he gets a full workload, he's going to fumble at some point. And we might forget a fumble that he has against the Indianapolis Colts where we're beating them, where it's like you kind of overlook it. But in the playoffs, you're basically a fumble away from potentially losing it. And I don't want the whole entire offseason for me to be haunted by a Chris Ivory fumble, when that is something that he's very much used to. So, I want to give Corey Grant some carries to try to see if we can get him hot, and just see what we can get out of him. Another thing I like about this game is how the weather is going to... I like the weather because the weather is going to be 25 degrees. And if we're going to advance in the playoffs, and we are going to be playing in Pittsburgh, which is going to be very, very cold. And if we win that, we most likely will end up in Foxborough, which is even colder than Pittsburgh. So, getting this 25 degree weather in here, it's going to be nice. You know what I mean? Like, we went earlier this season when we played the Browns, it was a lot of guys' first times playing in like the cold weather. Like Blake Bortles, for example. I remember hearing him mic'd up, and he was saying how that game was the first time he'd ever seen snow in his life. Leonard Fournette, he's not used to playing in snow. So, as a warm weather team, we are going to be having to deal with cold weather in the playoffs. So it'll be some like good practice and learning experience for these guys. Now, when you look ahead to the playoffs, there's basically 4 possibilities of teams we can play: the Ravens, the Chargers, the Titans, and the Bills. Now, the only team that really scares me out of that bunch is the Chargers. And if we were to basically beat the Titans and the Chargers were to beat the Raiders this weekend, then that means that we were playing the Chargers. And Chargers are the team that I am the most afraid of. You know what I mean? Because they have a Hall of Fame quarterback. They have an elite duo of edge rushers, probably the best in the NFL. And that scares me. You know what I mean? Like, I'd much rather play against a reeling team like the Titans, or an average team like the Bills, or a Ravens team that we already beat 44-7. You know what I mean? But going into this game, you're going to want to win this game. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to just sit here and like root for the Jags to lose so we can not have to play against the Chargers. But Chargers, that's the team that I'm most afraid of going into the playoffs. And we've seen like basically Gus Bradley's defensive coordinator over there, and he called a very good game against the Jaguars. And you also saw our former linebacker coach. He's now a defensive coordinator on the 49ers, and he had a very good defensive game plan against us. So, you know what I mean? I just don't want to play Gus Bradley. He's a really smart defensive mind. Now, he's not a great head coach, and, he just simply, I don't think he's tough enough to be a head coach. Now, Anthony Lynn, the head coach over there, he's a hard ass, you know what I mean? But typically with these coordinators, they aren't as like edgy as head coaches are. Like, you'll see, like, Nathaniel Hackett, for example. You know, he's a pretty good offense coordinator, but he'll probably never be a head coach just because, you know, he's not enough of a hard ass. Now, we've seen coaches be able to do it, like Pete Carroll wasn't the toughest, but, you know, generally what happens is these guys are, like, most afraid of the head coaches because they're hard asses, and they kind of fall into the comforting hands of coordinators. So, you know, Gus Bradley, he's a very, very smart defensive mind. He's a coach that built the Seahawks, you know, Legion of Boom kind of thing. He built the foundation of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He just wasn't able to coach them to be a good team. And he's over there having like a great defense over on the Chargers. So, you know, I don't want to play the Chargers. I don't want to have to go against Phillip Rivers, Ingram, Joey Bosa, and, you know, I'd much rather play a team like the Titans. But if you are to play the Titans, you're most likely going to have to lose to the Titans, which I definitely don't want to do. So let me know down in the comment section who you guys would most like to play in the playoffs. You know, I put the question on Twitter, and a lot of people would rather play the Titans than a team like, you know, the Chargers and whatnot. But, you know, I'm just curious where your guys' head's at. I'm not necessarily going to do keys for this game just because I'd rather just do some experimentation. My number one key for the game is to not get injured. You know what I mean? I would hate to lose a player like, you know, AJ Boye, or lose our left tackle Cam Robinson or something like that, because, you know, our defense is super healthy. We've been able to stay healthy on the defense all year, which is good. And, you know, I think if this defense plays motivated, then they can pretty much beat anybody. I mean, you know, you saw them beat the Steelers after, you know, losing the Jets. You saw them whoop the Seahawks, and they were very much ready for the game. So, yeah, I mean, that's how I feel about the defense. So once again, the Jaguars are in week 17 of a season playing meaningless football. But it's a good meaningless football because we are sitting back enjoying the playoffs while the Titans fight to stay relevant and alive in a playoff picture. And how sweet would it be to be able to knock off the Titans out of the playoffs 2 years in a row? Last year, the Titans came into Everbank while the Jaguars had a record of 2-12, and we beat the Titans, basically forcing them out of the playoffs. And we very well have a chance to do it again this year in their house, which I would absolutely love. I would think it'd be very funny, and, you know, I'd get a lot of enjoyment out of it. But, you know, hopefully we can get out of this game with the W. Hopefully we can stay injury free, and, you know, hopefully we do some, you know, experimentation with some things and find out what like might work for us. So, you know, the Titans have everything to play for. The Jaguars don't necessarily. They're kind of playing for pride and grit, as Tom Coughlin would say. And yeah, that's about wraps up my video. Thank you guys for watching. This is UCF Jaguar with GenJag.com. Check them out in the links below, and I'm out.